podcast. So happy and wonderful co-host.
After a long hiatus, I'm feeling pretty rested and good. How are you?
Was gone quite wait. Sorry off before it happened.
All right. So you were on vacation, or did you save it all up?
Look. I agree. And for this episode, but then we can, go back, reach back, and this episode was called "Is Not." So
We didn't know. You never.
could have been in it. I mean, so but anyway, um, so she really went through it. She really had her Brown, but she had her Charlie Brown moment, went through it, and then she pushed back squirrel. Look, if they that uh, jumped Do you?
I've been thinking about this over the past couple of episodes, and I feel like this is one of the that sort of neglected to do here, that there is a black and know whose side we're supposed to be on. Here are a lot. Well, it's Rick against Rick is a little past.
Mhm.
The have and their fear and their she's an because rail against, and so I know we easy based on what we just saw. In the dating back without necessarily
By the way.
Lydia is just the of what they're of. So actually say, oh well, they should all just great. You
I do. Sir. Uh, but I like.
I have a strong that has scenes. That's true. If to the it's like one part, the other more.
Negan much more dark, even it would
Friction. Well, I thought really good. The walking, the tack on a huge scale. They're trying to be a Negan and to and you know we didn't use I mid is the moment that season started, it it started hearing the some what has
Right. Right. No, I agree. I definitely agree. Let's talk about Negan. And his arc over these last 3 episodes. We went from, you know, like, okay, are we supposed to? Let me start off here. Are we supposed to believe that he's changed?
Actually,
Okay. Do you believe it? So he's a different cat now.
Negan feels the way
Mhm.
the has changed is going in a different direction. I,
Right. Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
that was too much. That was the long. Negan. It was that.
Right. Dude. But also, that guy was annoying as hell. He was annoying as hell, and I like that. I might do that. I am Kinte. Crazy. But no, okay, so um, what do you think is behind him wanting to join the Whispers, or at least appearing to? I honestly don't believe it. I think that he's kind of. I think he's better off with the devil that he knows.
All right.
This is what I'm getting. Okay, and I'm gonna lay it out and tell me what you think. So he tries to do the right thing because he wants to be in better standing with the group. So he protects Lydia, and it goes horribly wrong. And he realizes something after, how everybody, because he looks defeated in a way that, that he tried to do the right thing, and people are still, thinking, because he's been in captivity for 8 years, right? So I think that's when he realizes, okay, I can't stay here. I have to do something big that will get people's attention that I'm here. So he escapes and he joins up with the Whispers. And my take is that he's gonna defeat them from inside, or try or attempt to do some grand gesture by taking out Alpha, or something to that effect, so that he can take it back to the group and say, hey, look, I did something that no one else was able to do. I took out Alpha, and I think this is his grand gesture to change the way that he's viewed within the group.
Wow.
Am I crazy?
And
Mm-hmm. Right, right. Um, to make them feel like that because it's not that he's just getting captured. He's saying, look, I was their captive for so long. So he wants them to believe that I have animosity towards them, and I'll give you all the information. Remember, he offers information and all of this stuff. And he's basically saying, he even kneels before. I think the reason why he's able to kneel before, because he knows in his head that at some point he's going to bash her head in. So I think this is all his grand gesture to show the group, like, hey, you need me. I'm an asset. And the way you do that is you have this villain that no one can can handle, and I'm gonna take him out. I think that's his plan, I think.
to will you know what I mean? Like, I don't,
Mm-hmm.
but my
Okay. But you talking about with the whispers though. Right. But I honestly think that he wants to show with the our group. I don't think he wants to be a whisperer.
he
Is Beta the baddest guy on the show as far as the strongest
So I don't want to,
adversary?
but Bob,
Mm-hmm. Right. And Alpha does he kills
I
Alpha too, right? He beheads her,
pretty
right? Well, I wasn't gonna go there, but because well, no, I mean it's yeah, but I didn't want to go there because it is very. I think that's where they're going, and
to make this work. And into the other thing, uh, here, obviously, but have been actually a little bit
well, one reason why I agree with you that the comic book and the TV show is very different, but my thing is there are certain situations where I feel like you can see they're going to mirror each other. And I felt like the reason why I wasn't going to bring that up really was that I felt like there's a good chance that it could, and that would be really spoiler. Like I felt like that. Yeah, I said it's a good chance. I didn't say it was 100%. I don't read spoilers, so I mean, so I don't know that that's what's going to happen, but they're putting him in a position now where he's in within the whisper. So it's what I'm saying. It's that chance that it can go down that path. So that's why I was like, that's why I was kind of like, okay, so how's this gonna play out? And that's why I wasn't personally gonna mention it. But you did, and you did, say spoiler alert. So hopefully somebody, I mean, look, because it may not play out that way, so it may be a moot point anyway. But I wait, hold on. So what I was saying is I feel like that um like that's why I'm kind of, if you notice, I'm kind of careful about what I mention from the comic books um versus like some things I feel like is totally fine because it's definitely not going to happen on the show, or like at least in that way. And then there's other things where I do feel like some people may see it as a spoiler. But hey, I feel like even if it does happen that way, it is what it is. I mean, by this point. Wait a minute. How can you disagree with me saying that it may happen like the comic book? There's nothing to disagree about. Uh,
Mentioning stuff in Joel's the and the, like
that's come on. That's apples and oranges. No, that is no. You can't compare that. That is different. No, but that's not. That's my that you miss what I'm saying is if you okay. I'll give you a great example. I was reading the book with the red wedding the same time as the season, right? I was reading them at the same time, and I thank God I didn't get to the red wedding part. I saw it on the show first, and then like I think a week later, I got to that part in the book. I was so glad that even though I read other things that kind of spoiled it, but that was one thing I was glad that I did not. I liked seeing it on the TV show first, me personally. Um, I liked seeing it on the TV show because then it was a great surprise when I saw it on the TV show the way it happened. Whereas other things that happened in the book that happened on the TV show, uh, I didn't really care as much, even though I read it. Like overall, I rather read it. I normally would rather read it first than see it on a movie or TV show. But in that one case, I actually was glad that I saw it first because it made the TV show that much better. I didn't know it was coming. I'm on the only reason why I was saying about sometimes it's not everything that it's just certain things in for me I'm careful about mentioning because they may be like me, like where certain things they would rather not know. I'm talking about people who have no idea at all. So I just earmarked that aspect of it as a potential thing that, because this is, the TV show podcast, not the comic book podcast. So the reason why I didn't personally mention it was because if it goes that way, that it's better that for those who have no idea about the comic book or who's never going to read it or anything, that they may be like, oh man, you kind of told me that was coming, you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean, but that's why I was like, that's why I decided not to do it. I don't have a problem with you doing it because you said this might be a spoiler. You said that before, letting people know. I was just saying I was never going to say it because of for that reason, But it may, like you said, it may not even play out that way, or it may kind of, because sometimes they do this where it will partially be like the comic book, and they'll change some aspects so it won't be just doing that. So, and so I kind of always felt like that even leading up to these 3 episodes, that's probably where they were going with it. That's what it looks like to me. Now it may not be 100% like the comic book, but I feel like it'll be enough to where you can draw a parallel. But like I agree with you. The comic books came out. I forgot when this particular issue came out. It had to be a couple of years ago. Yeah, I mean it's not as okay. So in the first season and the and that material, the time in between was way greater, right? Okay, now the things that are happening now on the show are not as the time when it came out is not as greater as it once was. The gap in between. We're talking from what it was multi-years to now it's, maybe this came out, 2 years ago? Was it 3 years ago? It wasn't that long. I mean, it didn't seem like it was that. It isn't like it was from the first season, the pilot from the first book. That time was way greater than it is now. Yeah, that's 2 years ago.
The beginning. I remember.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it. But you just made my point. The time in between isn't as great as it once was. So it's still. So it's like. So the point I'm making is that okay, you're totally missing my point. No, you missing my point. It's not that you missing my point. But you didn't hear. You really are not listening to me, because what I'm saying is there's certain aspects, not everything, that are more spoilerific to me than others, and that is something that could potentially, because it feels to me like they're going that path. That's why I said I didn't bring it up. That's why I chose not to bring it up. But you did, which was fine. It is what it is. I'm just saying that to me, it felt like it was going that way. But you mentioned, I remember you mentioned on a couple of shows ago about Eugene on the radio and linking up with the woman on you basically said something that could bear fruit in this episode. Remember, I didn't even remember that. I mean, I didn't, I didn't, what I'm talking about when Eugene is on the radio. I think we mentioned it at the end of last season's podcast that was going to happen, and based on the comic book. And to me, someone who's a purist could say that was spoilerific, but to me personally, I didn't. It's you can view it that way, but to me, it's not as significant. So that's why I didn't have no, me personally, I could have said it too, if I had remembered it, I could have been like, oh yeah, he's gonna, that's gonna happen. I just feel like those big major moments are the ones that I kind of steer away from personally. But if you bring it up, then we can talk about it. I'll let you use, you know what I'm saying? If you're bringing it up, then I'm like, well, we might, and you said spoiler alert. I'm just saying, I don't, but I'll let you be the bad person. Mhm. Mhm. Well, I mean, but you got to use it in a certain way, though. I feel like, like, Hmm. No, I have no problem with it. I mean, I don't have a problem with it because I read it. So, I'm good. And even if I hadn't read it, at this point, I don't think like okay, I tell you, when I after the first season, I never read the comic books until after the first season of the show. And then that's when I don't really read comic books. So but I was so into the first season, I read I read a lot. And in a way the second season, like there was things about the second season, just using that for example, that I knew was coming, you know, based on based on what I read, like I knew about the what was in the barn, and I knew about that we're all infected, you know what I'm saying, and a bunch of other shit, right? But that was fine because normally my attitude is if I read it first, I'm cool. You know what I mean? I don't, because I don't like spoilers. I like to personally. I'm not a spoiler fan. So, but I feel like if I read the book, like I just saw Doctor Sleep last night. I read the book. I read the book some years back, like maybe a year after it came out. So, like, it's been a while now, you know, and like I probably need to read it again because so after I see the movie, even though a lot is different than the book in the movie, um, it did jog my memory back after having read that book. So, but that's fine because that's what it is. So, um, all right. So moving on, what are some last points you want to make before we close this particular episode out? Oh, did we lose you, Jen? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Music that they were out of give us an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
question that you asked.
Yeah, he's definitely not a person that you can trust. He does have a moral code about him, but yeah. like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
In the first place, I was
And
just spoiled.
y'all, she trying to ruin it for y'all. See, I'm trying to save y'all, and she's trying to ruin it all the way from Hawaii. Nah, hey, it is what it is. But it's all good. Hey, it allowed me a chance to talk about it. Or maybe we should do like at some point a comic book centric. Mhm. Oh Jesus! You sound like a nerd now. Sound like a freaking nerd. It's not a comic book. It's a graphic novel. Like, okay, you. Sorry. Sorry, nerd. But yeah, my bad. All right, how can people get you on social media and all that? And you can get me at Kinte F on Twitter, Kinte Ferguson on Instagram, and then of course the website is indieradio.org. And we'll be back Sunday. Hopefully we can do this Sunday night for the newest episode. Yes, besides their name rhyming. All right.